disgusting.
That's why I asked.
Who's driving? It's over 9. What?
Trap car.
Addition.
Use the boots to get it. No.
Huh? What the f?
Hello again, everyone. This is Bionic Slime. I am your online voice for reviews of your choice, and this is BS Reviews. Today, we take a look at the latest CGI animated 3D film from Dreamworks entitled How to Train Your Dragon, based on the children's novel by Christopher Mintz-Plasse. How to Train Your Dragon is brought to you by Dreamworks and was directed by Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders, who also created Lilo and Stitch for the Walt Disney Company. It was written, as I said, by Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who wrote the original novel, and by Dean DeBlois. It stars the vocal talents of Jay Baruchel as Hiccup, Gerard Butler as Stoic, Craig Ferguson as Gobber, American Ferrera as Astrid, Jonah Hill as Snoutlout, Christopher Mintz-Plasse as Fishlegs, and T.J. Miller and Kristen Wiig as Toughnut and Roughnut. The plot of How to Train Your Dragon. Hiccup is a young, hapless Viking who wants nothing more but to help his village battle their current and reoccurring problem, which happens to be being overrun by dragons. Their village is daily attacked by these creatures, and there's lots of different types and classes of dragons, so there's plenty of battle to go around. Unfortunately, Hiccup seems physically incapable of battling the dragons, and every time he tries to help, he ends up causing more trouble for the village and his father, Stoic, the head Viking warrior, and who wants nothing more than his son to stay out of the way so that he can no longer cause any screw-ups. The Viking warriors are all desperate to train their children to become future dragon slayers, and Hiccup wants this as well. Unfortunately, no one seems to want to give him the chance to try. This changes when he accidentally knocks down a night flyer, the most dangerous and elusive dragon in the whole bunch, which he finds wounded in the forest. And when he finds he doesn't have the heart to kill it, he actually learns that these dragons are not as bad as he thought they were. They actually act more like big, scaly, fire-breathing cats, and they have certain tricks and trades and little soft spots on their body in that prove that they're not as dangerous as he thinks, and he uses these tricks to get ahead during dragon slayer training. However, this all changes when Stoic discovers the nest of the dragons and plans to wipe out all of them, which causes a great big of trouble for Hiccup and his dragon friend Toothless, as he must try and save his dragon friend from being eradicated by his, pretty much dragon prejudice family. Review of the plot. This is a pretty straightforward, simple kind of kid-friendly plot, one would say. Very similar to Avatar. In fact, many people have been comparing this story and this film to Avatar, primarily because of the whole strict, obvious, friendly message, mostly kind of like a nature-friendly message. And it's not a bad idea, to do a message like this. But unfortunately, it does get kind of repetitive, especially when, Avatar is such a big hyped-up movie, and then you see this film, and it does the same thing. It does feel like, well, you're kind of retreading old material here. However, what makes How to Train Your Dragon work better in comparison to Avatar is that they actually succeed with the whole environmental friendly misconception message. It's a very heartwarming story that doesn't really veer off its path too much, but that doesn't really bother you because the message they're delivering is so much more solid and concrete and well played out than Avatar does. Then you don't really feel bad seeing this story all over again. And the best thing about that makes this, I think, a little bit more superior in terms of the whole Avatar thing is the importance of the relationship. Whereas in Avatar, it was more of a love relationship, whereas here, it's something more innocent, cute, and enjoyable to watch. And that's the relationship between the boy and the dragon, Hiccup and Toothless. As I said, he kind of plays out more like an animal, like a cat. And that's that relationship that makes it cute, but also fascinating, as you can see how this character is bonding with this animal that is perceived by all to be bloodthirsty monsters who want nothing to destroy life as we know it, and he learns that it's not the same thing that everyone's thinking. And it's a really good way to show how the young can surpass the old, and how some people who are just stuck in their ways all the time are missing the real heart of the message, and this movie presents it very well. Review the characters. Jay Baruchel is really cleaning clock when it comes to all these big name roles. I mean, he's really getting some real good headliner stuff, and he does a really good job here as Hiccup. I mean, the character just looked like it was written and designed just for him, just like an essence more so than just style. He really does come right into this character very nicely. And he actually has a good voice for voice acting. I think it works well for this character. And he actually does some really good emotional lines in terms of when he's finding out that the dragons aren't that bad. I mean, he really does show that he can get the range out of where this character needs to be, because this whole movie is kind of about emotional discoveries between the different characters and the stories and the revelation of the dragons. So it's important to have that. Gerard Butler just seems pretty much staple to these old medieval kind of warrior roles. I mean, from 300 to this, and he really did a very good job playing the father here. I think he was animated beautifully. I mean, the beard on him is just animated so incredibly that it's unbelievably detailed and just like vividly designed. He did a very good job. Probably one of the best roles, I think, was Craig Ferguson as Gobber, who I completely forgot was in this film. And he has a small role, but it's funny. I mean, he really does delivers most of the good humor lines, and I don't see him much in voice acting or in movies at all, since he's got his late night show and it's on TV mostly. And I think he fit really well in here. I think he gave the character some real good, amusing charm for the film. American Ferrera's Astrid was good. She was not bad. I mean, I was originally worried she wasn't going to be as effective as a character, because she seemed kind of cliche as Astrid, this one tough girl who just, she's the badass and no one's disputing it. Then she gets all pissed when Hiccup starts winning and stuff. But I mean, she actually showed that she has a lot more range to it. So it's like, it kind of like she sets you up with this misconception that she's going to be a bland and average character, but when you actually get more into it, she shows some real development into her relationship with Hiccup and, just as a character in general. The other characters, it's funny, they're voiced by pretty good and very talented comedic actors, but they're all served in kind of a subpar format. I mean, you got Jonah Hill, T.J. Miller, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, and Kristen Wiig as these four little kids that are basically just helping around with Astrid and Hiccup. They're mostly just there to, like, kind of fill a background. I mean, they don't really offer much outside of just average personalities. I mean, they're not cliche, but it's just like they don't really go anywhere farther enough to make them truly memorable or iconic or anything. It's not the most memorable ragtag group of people that you've ever seen in a film, but I have to say they do a good job for what they need them to do. Review the animation and the music. Animation is the one area where this movie truly shines magnificently. And as anyone will tell you who has seen this film in 3D or IMAX or Ultra Screen or whatever, the flying scenes are absolutely flawless. They look beautiful. They're animated superbly to the point where you actually feel you're there flying in the skies. And if someone's falling, you can really get that sense of that falling, that dropping, that loss of control. You're spiraling down through the heavens. And I've never had a movie do that. That really just enveloped me to the point where you really are flying on this dragon, on this thing. It's really inventive, and it's just really well done. It's just beautifully drawn with the CGI. It just looks fantastic, even better than Avatar. The music was also very good. I mean, it wasn't too kiddie or stupid. It actually had some really good, classic, appropriate tones for the film, for the theme, the setting. It really worked well all together. Flaws about the film. As I said, some of the other better voiced characters didn't really get much attention. Jonah Hill, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, T.J. Miller, Kristen Wiig. They have some really, really funny voice actors who I've seen in previous films and do a really good job. But here, they're just kind of wasted as kind of background filler. Like, they're just kind of like the donut shell, but you really want to get to the jelly filling. And they're just there to break through just so you get the good stuff. So it's kind of like they were kind of wasted. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but still. Another thing is they don't really steer too much off the path. This is a pretty straightforward film with a clear message. And while it does try some really compelling stuff, especially with the ending, they did a real shocking thing with one of the characters that I never would have think they had the balls to do it. But other than that, they really do stay on a pretty limited path, and that kind of restricts the movie in terms of freedom from its story environment. It doesn't really go anywhere that you don't already know it's going to go, but the best part about that is, though, at least, is they do it in a way that doesn't bother you. Final wrap-up, How to Train Your Dragon was surprisingly a lot better than I ever could have hoped it had been, and I really didn't think that the visuals would have made that much of a big difference if you saw it in 3D or IMAX or Ultra Screen, but it truly, truly does. If you see this movie, and I highly recommend you do, you have to see it in 3D or at least IMAX or Ultra Screen, because there is no other way that you can better appreciate the beautiful visuals of the flying sequences. You got some excellent animation with an adorably cute dragon character, Toothless. Good voice acting from Jay Baruchel, Gerard Butler. Craig Ferguson was phenomenal. I enjoyed American Ferrera. I like the animation style of the characters. They came out really nicely, and they made them look human, but at the same time still cartoony enough. Visually, it's a beautiful film. The side characters were kind of wasted, and it does seem a little bit trapped by its story, but all in all, this is a grand film for DreamWorks. It's not their best, but it's certainly one of the better films they've created in the past couple of years that I highly recommend you give it a shot. Bottom line, I give How to Train Your Dragon 4 stars out of 5 stars. Well, that's all for now. This has been Bionic Slime for BS Reviews. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye for now.